They're meeting over a month early, haven't done it in 36 years. Obviously a crisis meeting to bump this up. This is a big deal. We know from internal documents that leaked from Congress, this is a super management group over the CFR, the Royal Institute of International Affairs in the UK, the EU groups, the CIA, the intelligence agencies. I mean, this is one of the top meetings. And the Bilderberg Steering Committee has all the key people over all the other globalist control systems. This is the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they're meeting right now begs a lot of questions. When you got the head of the IMF, you got the heads of Palantir, you've got the, what is his name, Daniel Driscoll, the Secretary of the Army. This is the guy who's leading the military-industrial complex, meeting in secret right now with guys like Mark Rutte, also, the Secretary General of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, one of the biggest military operations in the world, meeting right now in the midst of this Trump epic fury campaign. So, obviously NATO can't just invoke Article 5 and start attacking, because it's, they have to do that when they are attacked. But obviously it was Israel and America who attacked first. So there is no, defense play here. So it begs the question, why now? Why do we have these top players in war, in AI, in finance, all meeting right now in this like bizarre emergency meeting that happens to be coinciding with Trump's epic fury campaign? And then you just look at the agenda list. You've got things like the future. Well,
let's stop there. I was going to go there next, but I want to just go back for a moment. That was my next point. You read my mind. Well, now they put it on an agenda for you. You used to say it didn't exist until about 12, 14 years ago. It sounds crazy now, pushing out in the open again. If you just deny something, the devil's one of his biggest tricks is he doesn't exist. But looking at this, you would expect, though, if you had 130 top sports stars meeting, or 130 top movie stars meeting, or 130 top philanthropists, it would be in the news. Let me guess, not a lot of media out there, not a lot of coverage, huh? So instead of denying it exists, they just don't cover it.
Well, there's absolutely nobody here in terms of...
Yeah, give us a 360 shot. Give us a shot.
Yeah, here we go. This is it. It's me. There's zero cameras, zero, we got two other journalists hanging out right back there. And that's it.
Mr. Teal!
Satan, evil, demon, pedophile!
If you want to impose nuclear war on China, you will be wiped out by nuclear war. If you want to have war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you will be destroyed. This is very serious. China's policy is very clear. China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire the second shot. China is the only country with hydrogen. And that ICBM can cover every corner of the world in less than 20 minutes and destroy any target in any corner of the world without any possibility of being intercepted. I hope Washington has learned the lesson.
The US and Israel launched military strikes against Iran, which has increased the sense of risk mitigation in international markets, which has also led to the fluctuation of US dollar index and the index of other currencies, which is quite clear in the global market.
There are moments in history that do not announce themselves with fanfare. No press conference, no ultimatum, no dramatic address to the United Nations Security Council, just a convoy of unmarked vehicles moving through the darkness of a Russian airfield outside Orenburg, loading cargo into an Antonov transport aircraft with its identification transponder switched off, climbing east before banking south over the Caspian Sea toward Iranian airspace. That flight, if the intelligence assessments that reached Washington 3 days ago are accurate, carried something that no rogue state, no revolutionary government, no non-superpower military in the history of nuclear weapons has ever possessed: a Satan II nuclear warhead, the RS-28 Sarmat, the weapon that Russian state media called, with characteristic understatement, the missile that can make a country the size of France or Texas cease to exist. The weapon that NATO designated Satan II because Satan I, the SS-18, was already taken, and the engineers in my ass needed a name that communicated what they had built. Mach 20, 15-ton payload capacity, 16,000-kilometer range, 10 to 15 independently maneuvering nuclear re-entry vehicles per missile, fractional orbital bombardment capability that allows it to approach its target from any direction on the globe, including from the south, the direction from which American missile defense is entirely unprotected. And now, according to 3 separate intelligence assessments seen by this channel, that weapon, or its warhead technology, or both, is in Iranian hands. Let me pause here and tell you something that I need you to understand before we go 1 second further. This is not a story about Iran getting a bigger missile. Iran already has missiles. This is not a story about Iran's nuclear program advancing. Iran's nuclear program has been advancing for 20 years.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Canada being the nation that is helping to define and shape a new world order.
The world has changed, as you mentioned, and we live it on a daily basis. We're now looking at the Ukraine's lessons learned, Russian behavior, and other of their collaborators. So we have to get ready for large-scale conflicts, more conventional. So we need a different military to do that, and different capabilities.
There is an agenda to starve humanity. There is an agenda to create a global famine. They've been telling us it was coming for years. And when you look at what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, you see, there's a real mechanism through which this could happen. I do know that the Iranians are working closely with Beijing. I do know that the Iranians are working closely with Moscow. And I believe, and I have believed for a long time, that the next world war that the evildoers are setting up is going to involve Russia and China coming after the United States. And I think this one we're supposed to lose. I think that's the plan, that the United States is going to lose the next world war. The Chinese are preparing for war against the United States. There's no question about it. Anybody who has studied communist China will tell you they're teaching their children to prepare for war. They are preparing the weaponry to wage war on us. In fact, I would argue they are already waging war on us. They call it a people's war, unrestricted warfare. And basically everything short of bombs and bullets, those will come in the next phase. Based on their public statements, it sure seems like they thought this was going to be a cakewalk. It was going to be like Maduro, we're just going to grab the guy and it's all going to be over and everybody's going to say, wow, isn't the U.S. military amazing? But what happened here is clearly not what the American people were told was going to happen.
The Strait of Hormuz, and the fact that the other countries aren't willing to come in and at least keep that open. Why is the world not willing to help at least keep it open when it can create mass famine and actually harm a lot of people in their own country?
The Illuminati dumping money into China for the past 30 years. These businessmen fucked all of us.
What did we do to deserve this? Well, We ruined the planet, we dispossessed, imprisoned and slaughtered First Nations people, we enforced gender roles, we systemized rape, racism, misogyny, transphobia, homophobia, ableism, classism and unsustainable food industries. We allowed fossil fuel companies to operate our elected officials like ventriloquist dummies from hell, raping our planet for economic gain. We turned the prisons and military into big business. We sold our land, our resources, our water table and the port of Darwin to the Chinese, who we're now in a trade war with. We empowered the church to such a degree it's now just a tax haven for pedophiles, with the ability to manipulate government policy and mandate legislation on women's bodies without their consent. And we bred dogs to a superficial aesthetic level so they can no longer breathe. But pugs are so cute the way they suffocate when they walk. Their eyes are pointing in different directions because they're asking both owners to kill them.
I propose that we end the world, but on our terms. An orchestrated apocalypse. One that will cleanse the earth of its population but leave its infrastructure and resources intact. It's been done once before. The chosen few will ride out the storm, not in an ark as in the book of Genesis, but in safety, underground. And when it's over, we will emerge onto a cleansed earth, one that we can then reboot in our image.
And just how do you intend to achieve this?
The means of our salvation are already at hand. I give to you the T-virus.
This whole COVID madness, this so-called pandemic, it was just a test balloon. A gigantic test balloon. Well, for what, you ask? Well, to see how far they could go, to see what exactly they would have to do to get free individuals in a free and democratic society to consent to being forced into compliance. That's what they were trying to establish. That's what they were trying to figure out. And they have figured it out. Trust me, they are much smarter now. The goal ultimately is to transform our free and democratic societies, into totalitarian societies. Their goal is to strip each and every one of us of our fundamental rights of freedom, democracy, the rule of law. They want to get rid of all of this. This whole COVID thing had never anything to do with public health. It never had anything to do with breaking waves. It always had to do with breaking people in order to make us a part of a mindless, malleable mass, which they can totally control, and we will be completely dependent upon this globalitarian elite. So I'm really imploring the people and all the peoples around the world, for God's sake, stop giving your democratically elected governments the benefit of the doubt. They are not deserving of that. They are not. Stop rationalizing whatever your government is doing. Stop rationalizing and come up with some good intentions. They have no good intentions. Never. As I said before, in the entire history of mankind, there has never been a political elite concerned about the well-being of regular people. And it isn't any different now. Why should it? Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because I can tell you, you cannot comply your way out of a tyranny. It is impossible. Trying to do so, you will only feed a gigantic alligator in the hopes of being eaten last. But guess what? Your turn will come, and then you will be the one swallowed up. I also have to ask the people, end your silence. Speak up. For God's sake, stop complying. Start rebelling. They're out to get you if you do not respect.
So can we trust the central banks to give them yet more power? I think the answer should be a resounding no. The high inflation that started in 21 was created by the central banks. No matter what they tell you about wars, the economics is very clear. I could forecast it quite successfully from May 2020 onwards that 18 months later we'll get significant inflation because the money creation was just massive, off the charts. Then the central banks imposed a fake pandemic. You know that story. And we know that people like Jeffrey Epstein, it's now public record, were involved as early as 2017 in setting up the scheme of this great pandemic for some investors to make a fortune, such as Bill Gates. And then we can also make money injecting people with stuff and solve the problem, as Epstein and Bill Gates discussed, matter of public record, of how to get rid of the poor people. And of course, it was used at the same time to push digital ID.
A better world also means a healthier world. And vaccination is our best chance to do this. Vaccines have saved millions of lives in the past 50 years. But right now, millions of children are still at risk. They need vaccines. So we must continue to support vaccination around the world. And today, I am pleased to pledge $290 million for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Each child should be protected. And more will come. Together with Gavi, we have the goal to vaccinate 500 million children by 2030. Europe will do its fair share. You can count on us, my friends.
Despite the fact that we've now essentially clinically tested the vaccine on billions of people worldwide.
And globally, and did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. You know, climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably?
I'm here to talk to you about these FEMA camps.
They don't exist.
So why was it put into that bill?
What in the hell is this?
Coffin. It's hundreds of thousands of coffins.
And if they had to get rid of people or dissidents, they got the caskets for it, don't they?
Yes, and we found stockpiles all over the country.
In 2003, I had a patient in my drug-free medical practice who was a head of state. And one day she said, you know, it's almost time for the great culling to begin.
The what?
That's what I said. The what? She said the great culling, C-U-L-L-I-N-G, when you thin the herd. I said, what are you talking about? She said, it's almost time for the useless eaters to be culled. And she said, those are the people who are consuming our non-renewable natural resources. I said, who are the people who make this decision? She said, we, the aristocrats.
Not getting vaccines, it's time to start shaming them.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
F them, f their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
No, screw your freedom. You're a schmuck for not wearing a mask.
We have to stop coddling the morons who will not get the shot.
Shame on you.
No mask, get out! Put on your mask or get off.
Hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in, we'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse poo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
other victims of Jeffrey Epstein did say he shifted into like a reptilian-like figure when he was raping her. But yeah, she said she didn't say it for a while because it was like too embarrassing. Sounds too crazy.
Yeah, it sounds nuts.
I saw Epstein shift in front of my eyes. It was very, very frightening. It was like a weird hologram and it had like big black eyes. It was like reptilian, draconian, alien sort of thing. And it's just something that I had to explain to myself because I saw him turn into something. You know, it's not an easy thing to talk about because I can understand that a lot of people wouldn't understand it if they haven't seen it. But I saw it. And, you know, I'd like to be lie detected on it. I'd actually love to be lie detected on it.
But it's kind of the same whether it's demons or reptilians. To me, it's not much of a difference. It's clearly the same entities, whatever you believe.
I remember a while ago reading this thing about how Princess Diana said that she saw the Queen and the royals shapeshift into reptilians.
Crazy.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but even this sounds crazy. Like, this was in the email where it said George Bush 1 claims the abuse of a male minor by Bush and claimed ritualistic acts, including the dismemberment of infants, the removal of their intestines, and the consumption of feces, meaning they would eat the feces that was in the intestine. Like, this is, see, even that, you don't even have to get into reptilian stuff. Like, that in itself.
His opponent called proposals to increase education funding the definition of insanity. Really? I mean, have you been on the internet? People are out there saying that we're ruled by giant lizards and that Elvis is alive. You can't think of anything crazier than investing more in our schools and our children?
You know, of course she was going to say that, but...
Poor baby.
Yeah, she's really, really committed to that. It's really sad.
No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian and cold-blooded and go in to win the election.
We're going to take a short break. I want to talk to you more about President Biden and some other things.
Thank you. But they didn't know what they were talking about. We know we're different from the presidential. We're very discreet, reptilian, cold-blooded. These are the races we have to win. Others are winning the whole country. 10.
The Earth Summit Environmental Leadership Act, as this is known, presents us with an opportunity to follow up on the important work of the Earth Summit to develop its blueprint, Agenda 21, for global environmental action. HCON Res 353 outlines a comprehensive national strategy for sustainable development in accordance with the principles of Agenda 21 to be coordinated under the leadership of a specific office and at the direction of a high-level government official. The resolution also urges the United States to identify and initiate further agreements to protect the global environment and to support the creation of a high-level United Nations Sustainable Development Commission headed by an Undersecretary General. Third and lastly, the President is urged to report to Congress on the progress made on with this action. HCON Res 353 is supported by the administration. I have been in contact with the appropriate offices of the State Department and have incorporated their suggestions into the resolution. The 71 co-sponsors of this measure include one-half the members of the Foreign Affairs Committee and all of the House delegates to the Earth Summit. It is also supported by the major United States non-governmental organizations concerned with the environmental issues. The Earth Summit presented world leaders with an opportunity that should not be lost. We must now embark on a new course that will sustain our planet and its resources for the benefit of future generations. This resolution calls on the United States to assert its leadership to achieve this goal. I urge my colleagues to support this resolution. Thanks again to the members of the Foreign Affairs Committee for their recognition of the importance and timeliness of this resolution. We must make the promise of Rio a reality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy.
Can you clarify what you said about no one in the Democratic Party is anti-police? I know that you have said you don't want to defund the police.
That is not the Democratic Party's position.
Okay.
I'm the Democratic Party. I am president. So is the Speaker of the House, and so is the majority leader. We are not defunding the police. We have not.
Are there people who, in the Democratic Party, who want to defund their president?
Are there people in the Republican Party who think we're sucking the blood out of kids?
I'm not sure. Are there people in the Democratic Party who want to...
Mr. President, Speaker Pelosi made the right choice.
The world fell apart when he came on the scene. He knows that. I think they're going to be desperate. I think you're absolutely right about what the contours of the next election are going to be. It's going to be Donald Trump is January 6th, beat that dead horse. It's going to be abortion. It's going to be Donald Trump, lawfare. And then it's going to be confidence in 70% of the electorate not voting in person on election day. And that's all they have. Every single issue, people are sick of him. And but I do have some confidence. I'm a little bit more optimistic when you look at that face and you see that reptilian grin and an anger, and he screams. For emphasis, he doesn't change his intonation or use his hands or try to smile. It's just very angry and full of venom, as if all of the veneer of self-control of an earlier Joe Biden is gone now, and it's the real Joe Biden coming out. We've seen it before, and it's kind of frightening. I've never seen an angrier speech, State of the Union, than that. Never.
All that's gone. And I'm, you know, I'd like to believe that at some point you have to stop pretending that yeah, you're right. Maybe we're not just as strong, you mean? Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think I'm gonna see next week. So I mean, we have time, but I'm going in and out of places. Well, but not everyone has time.
Your relationship with Joe, and what do I need to know? Like, what's the thing about the ice cream? He loves ice cream. You know, tell me about that.
Well, listen, ice cream is big. Pasta with red sauce, he can go deep on that.
I was right in the middle of a fucking reptile zoo. And somebody was giving booze to these goddamn things. It won't be long now.
Bon appetit.
There is a signal broadcast every second of every day through our television sets, even when the set is turned off.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated. They are dismantling the sleeping middle class. More and more people are becoming poor. We are their cattle. We are being bred for slavery.
They want benign indifference. They want us drugged. We could be pets. We could be food. But all we really are is livestock.